Here we go!
Hey yo, Blue Blurs! What is up with y'all? This is Gamer Blake 90, here to present another Sonic Mania mod showcase. So this one is a special occasion because we're actually going to be getting a first-hand look at the third demo for a mod that I've been following closely since my first showcase for it back in 2019. And it is called Chaotix Mania, which is basically a remaking of Knuckles Chaotix using the assets as available in Sonic Mania. And as you can see on the title screen, this is in fact the Sage 2020 demo for Chaotix Mania that I've been particularly excited to play. So without further ado, let's jump right into the thick of things, shall we? First thing I'm going to do be checking out Isolated Island, which wasn't initially available in the first two demos, but it is now. It is where the storyline Knuckles Chaotix started, as that was the very first level, where the details of the plot behind Knuckles Chaotix were made painfully clear. As you can see here, Metal Sonic has just extracted one of the Chaos Rings from inside the ground and smacks into his knucklehead on the way out while trying to make his escape. You think Knuckles thought to jump out of the way, but he was like, what's going on? Knuckles never was the brightest out of the bunch. But before we actually do jump into the level, I'm going to show y'all the cutscene as it would be seen if you were to pick any other character in the game. Seeing as this is Knuckles Chaos, I decided to go with Mighty because he and Knuckles, out of the 5 characters playable, were the only 2 that were present among Team Chaotix. But personally, I do find it a little bit odd that the Chaotix entry chose to focus on Knuckles rather than Sonic or Tails, because Knuckles is particularly paranoid when it comes to ensuring the safety of the Master Emerald, especially after the events of Sonic 3, so you'd think he would be a little more cautious. But instead, the Chaos Rings are in danger of being snatched by Metal Sonic and Robotnik, just as happened in Knuckles Chaotix, and one of them gets extracted from the ground, taking the place of the Phantom Ruby, and takes us to Isolated Island. Now initially, the cutscene tying into Isolated Island would show you dropping into the level head-on, rather than just simply teleporting you to the very beginning of it, but I don't think the cutscene is working 100% properly yet, so this is a demo, so obviously it'll be a work in progress, so you might run into a few oddities here and there. It's kind of that sort of thing that you have to expect when it comes to playing mods that aren't entirely finished. And even when mods are finished, you might still run into a few behaviors that are not entirely expected, because they are essentially recoding of the Sonic games that already exist. These have been happening with like the classic Sonic games as you've seen on the SEGA Genesis. And of course when Mania came out, it was no different. So yeah, this is Isolated Island, rocking that oh so relaxing soundtrack, meant to get your spirits up before you jump right into the midst of danger. Also, look at the background. That shadow right there seems to resemble the hub world that the characters would go to in order to pick the levels as they were available in Knuckles Chaotix, because there were 5 separate worlds, each of which had 5 acts, and so you would go to a hub world that looked an awful lot like an amusement park to not only pick your partner character, but your next stage as well. And I really, really love that they thought to make a reference to it while you were passing through Isolated Island. I think it is godlike that they thought to put that in there. It's really, really nice. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Knuckles Chaotix, and I'm pretty sure I covered the details on it fairly consistently during my last 2 showcases for Chaotix Mania, but for those of you that are among my newer viewers, I'll explain it for y'all real quick. But before I do, we're gonna go pick up that special stage ring down there, because I think y'all need to see how the special stages look now. Because this is Sonic Mania reimagined in the style of Knuckles Chaotix, right? And also, while on the subject of picking Mighty, none of the 5 characters' abilities have changed, but Mighty has gained back his wall jump that he had in Knuckles Chaotix. Woo! I couldn't believe my eyes when it actually made a return in the Sage 2020 demo, but it does kind of make sense, because if you're going to reimagine a game in the style of Knuckles Chaotix, you kind of need to give back the Chaos characters their full abilities. And you're wondering how the wall jump works, just move yourself next to a wall and double jump near it, and boom, the rest will work. Of course, you'll keep his ground bounce from Mania Plus, because Team Chaotix Mania is pretty nice like that. I've had the pleasure interacting with a handful of their team, and all of them have been great guys to hang with. Some of which, by the way, are hanging out on my Discord server in case y'all want to interact with them. Anyway, check it out, guys. The special stages with the style of Knuckles Chaotix. This is pretty freaking sick. It doesn't change how the special stages work, because again, this is a Mania mod, but holy crap! I could totally get into this. You know, I've always wondered. Many have often described the Sonic Mania special stages as a combination of Sonic CD and Sonic R's mechanics. In the case of Sonic CD, you had the UFO right there, but you had to chase to get back the Chaos Emerald, or in this case, the Chaos Ring, because they replaced the Emeralds and Chaos, but I'll explain about those in a little bit. And then, of course, Sonic R, which had... well, you had the ability to accelerate or decelerate your characters, but other than that, it was somewhat automated running. In this special stage, it's entirely automated. But you do get to accelerate your character's speed the more blue spheres that you collect. And speaking of the blue spheres, those are the reason that I think the Mania special stages derive inspiration from Knuckles Chaotix more so than just CD and R. Because in Chaotix, you had to pick up a number of blue spheres to get to the next part of a special stage before you got to the Chaos Ring. I think you typically had to do this for like 2 or 3 renditions before you finish the special stage entirely. Also, we just picked up one of the first Chaos Rings in the game, and we are back here at Isolated Island. By the way, how'd y'all like the edited title card for Chaotix Mania? I think it's pretty sick. And when you go to the Encore mode stages, cause yes, they do have Encore palettes in this demo, they use a silver background on a title card as opposed to a black background. But if y'all were wondering why I was so eager to go through Isolated Island with Mighty, that was why. Cause debug mode aside, only he can get to that particular special stage. And there should be others hanging out in the first 5, well not first 5, but the 5 main worlds that you visit from the hub world seen in the background. Also, look at this! He's clipping right through the glass and the ground now! That is so funny. And awesome. And this is far from the only example of such weirdness that you will see. I know that some tend to go like, oh my god, glitches, this game bad. And I'm like, chill dude, stop overreacting. Some of the greatest moments happening in gaming have come from glitches. As hard as that might be to believe. Anyway, this isn't really meant to be a boss battle. It's just meant to be a stand-in for the fact that Eggman does make his appearance in the original Chaotix to free Metal Sonic and set out his quest to collect the Chaos Rings. This is a reference to the fact, so there's nothing really special to do here except just jump into Eggman's craft and leave the rest to fate. So that's it with Isolated Island, and I did mention Encore mode a bit ago. Each of these 5 stages here have Encore palettes that resemble the changes in weather that you gradually see the further you progress through each of these 5 stages in Knuckles Chaotix that are selectable by random select. And they are Amazing Arena, Botanic Base, Speed Slider, Marina Madness, and finally Techno Tower, which previously wasn't available in Chaotix Mania, but it is now, and we're gonna get to give it a look. As for these first 4 right here, I've already shown them off in my last 2 showcases, but I will check out their Encore mode palettes, since I do want y'all to get a look at everything this demo has to offer. Well, maybe not entirely everything, because I do want to leave some of it to the imagination, but I think y'all get what I mean. So anyway, let's go to Techno Tower. And seeing as this is based on Knuckles Chaotix, I suppose it would make sense to take Knuckles to Techno Tower, so here we go. Now, up until Techno Tower happened, all of the hub worlds each kept their original themes as they were heard in Chaotix. This one, on the other hand, is a remix that combines the music that is seen in the Level Select world with that of Techno Tower, and it involves an entirely smooth transition between the two, which is really, really, really nice. Also, I don't think Techno Tower is 100% finished based on how it started, but fret not, you're gonna get to experience a full-fledged level once you make it right past this first line here. Also, what in the world did I just get hit by? But there is a good opportunity to point out that as another sign of progress for Knuckles Chaotix, they have been able to change up the badniks so that they resemble their counterparts as seen in Chaotix. You just see an example of that with the first 2 badniks right there, and I'm pretty sure they've made similar changes to the enemies that will be seen in the other 4 worlds. They've been keeping me closely updated on how development for each of these badniks was going, And each one was awesome to check out. Also, that guy right there will throw bombs at you, so make sure to time your attacks carefully so you don't get played like Bomberman. Now that green badman is scooting along right there. I can't seem to kill him a traditional way, so how do I beat him? Oh, of course, the spin dash, because I totally solved all your problems. Hey, my Techno Tower theme! Listen, listen, listen! Woo! That is so slick! Oh yeah, speaking of animation, Knuckles now looks more like he did in Chaotix. I'm pretty sure you may have noticed that when I showed off his cutscene referring to Isolated Island, but here it is. He looks exactly like how he would look if he were holding his ring. Which reminds me, I should probably talk about how exactly Chaotix play for those of you not familiar with that game. But you see, similar to Encore mode in Sonic Mania, you could control 2 characters at a time, but both characters were bound by rings interconnected to one another. As a result, this led to a lot of difficulty in trying to move around the stages entirely, at least for those players that weren't entirely comfortable with the mechanics of Chaotix. And even then, those were a challenge to get adjusted to. As a child, I don't remember being overly fond of them. In fact, I was just watching Knuckles 3 and Knuckles streaming Knuckles Chaotix on his channel, and he was not enjoying it at all, and that's putting it very lightly. How it worked is, again, you control 2 characters at a time, both were bound by rings of energy, and you had to maneuver both of them very carefully so you could make it through levels just fine. But the movement was made extra awkward by how the interconnected rings work. They did afford you a unique set of abilities that enabled you to experience Knuckles Chaotix from an entirely new perspective that isn't typically seen in Sonic games. For one, you could pick up your partner character and throw them. You could have one of them sit still in place while you move the other character over to a switch that you could press to activate things like doors and such. And you could even call back your partner character to you at the cost of 10 rings. Why it cost rings, I don't know, but SEGA was on some interesting twisted logic at the time when they decided to start work on Knuckles Chaotix. I think that was the start of a dramatic revamp of the Sonic franchise. In some cases for the better, in others for the worse, but we'll leave that debate on the table for now. Also, as you might have imagined, Techno Tower is dramatically revamped how its level layout initially used to be in Chaotix, and in my opinion, for the better. You see, a lot of the Chaotix levels were very vertically inclined, much more so than Sonic CD in my honest opinion, and some could be finished in like, say, under 15 seconds if you were an expert speedrunner, which was freaking crazy. And most of that just involved going up, 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 up until you found the goal point. Speaking of going up, let's take this elevator up here to this boss battle. Nothing has changed about the boss battles as they initially worked in Mania, but Team Chaos Mania did rework them so they looked a little bit more like how they appeared in Mania. Also, I moved up there because I thought I was making him hit the container that would break his arm off, but evidently I miscalculated. So yeah, this is a press garden boss. And if you're wondering, no, you cannot fall off this upper platform once you make it up here. So, you've nothing to worry about in the way of just dying immediately. Unless you somehow manage to move yourself underneath a crate and get crushed to death. But I don't think that's possible this time around. Okay, I'm not going to be able to finish him in 3 renditions, which sucks. But, alright, let's just draw him all the way over here. Come here! Nobody likes you, pal. But I'd say people do like the clean artwork of Eggman's face on that nice little portrait up there. Also, considering that signals a transition to another act, which they don't have finished yet for any of the stages, we're taken right back to the level select, which also resembles that of the file select screen in Chaotix. I felt it was very faithfully redone. Props, guys. Now, I've already shown them before levels, so I'm not going to show off the Mania mode palettes again, but I will give you all a look at the Encore mode palettes in just a second. Actually, wait a minute, didn't I already showcase Isolated Island? Yes, I believe I did, and Techno Tower as well. And I've also showcased the final boss, which is essentially Super Metal Sonic, using the power of the Chaos Rings. But you will get to see a little something else about him, don't you worry. Although not in the way that you may be thinking. So I guess it is as good a time as any to check out Encore mode and give y'all a look at each of these stages as they appear in Encore. We'll start with Amazing Arena. For those of you intimately familiar with Chaotix, you may recall how you had this feature of turning on or off the lights in Amazing Arena. And up until now, you've only seen Amazing Arena with the lights on, but thanks to Encore mode, we can now play through it in the dark, or somewhat in the dark. This shade of light blue for Amazing Arena looks super freaking clean, dog. Like, woo! I mean, I am a sucker for blue, so of course I'll appreciate it, but what can I say? There's just something magical about the color blue, especially when you either lighten it or darken it. So yeah, that just further helps the fact that Sonic is my favorite character. So yeah, this Amazing Arena in the dark. I think that's a good time as any to show off my wall jump again, first chance I get. I only showed off one path to victory in the level I last played them, so maybe you can show off a different route that you can take to beat them entirely. Because although this does combine the 5 levels for each of the 5 stages as they were seen in Chaotix, similar to the style of Sonic Mania, it also puts new twists and turns on each of them. So as far as the last few levels I showcased go, I'm not entirely sure if they would change in any way other than being given an Encore palette. I know Techno Tower was definitely changed up, but that's like an introduction. This demo is like an introduction, so of course it was going to feel quite new. Sorry about that, I kinda get lost in the music of Sonic games, which I don't think is a surprise to any of you, because the music is known to slap-a-lap-a-lap in Sonic games. But I will tell you, that if there was ever an enjoyable version of the Sandopolis Zone Act 2 to play with, it would definitely be this stage. Because although you did need to activate the lights to ensure that you could beat the stage, you didn't have the threat of ghosts to worry about if you decided to take your time hanging out in the dark instead. If only it worked like that as Sonic 3. Is what I'm sure many of you are thinking right now, unless you're 100% used to this day like I am, in which case you've nothing to worry about, but yeah. So yeah, Knuckles Chaotix was definitely the odd man out when it came to the classic Sonic games. I respect SEGA for trying something new though, but I don't quite think it went the way that they were hoping for. Because again, there is the fact that the rate interconnecting the characters definitely hampered the player's movement and thus damaged their ability to enjoy the game. And there was also the fact that it was released on such a short-lived extension of the Sega Genesis console, which was known as the Sega 32X. I respect their ambition, don't get me wrong. I really do miss Sega being a player in the console industry, and I really, really wish they would make a return to it at some point, when they can, of course, because obviously they can't right now. But at the very least, they've been getting their other IPs going throughout the year, which is really nice. Though I do think that they must never ever forget the level of importance that the Sonic franchise has to them, because Sonic is what got them onto the map in the first place when it came to the console industry. I mean, imagine Nintendo didn't take proper care of Mario, who got them into the console industry in the first place. Nintendo would be facing quite a lot of criticism themselves. Not to say that Sega doesn't take good care of Sonic. In fact, they had a direct involvement with the Sonic movie, I believe. So they're definitely still paying attention. Don't misunderstand me there, but yeah. So this is the end of Amazing Arena, which uses the chemical plant at 1 boss from Mania. And a little bit of advice to those of you wanting to figure out how to beat that boss for a no damage run. I recommend attacking it from the underside to minimize whatever chances you would have of taking damage otherwise. Also, y'all see that new level clear signpost at the end of Amazing Arena? I think you already glimpsed it a couple of times, but I really love how it was redone to resemble its Chaotix counterpart. I've shown it all before, of course, but I never get tired of just how clean that it freaking looks. Major thumbs up to Team Chaotix Mania for that piece of artwork, as well as this demo in general, honestly. Tails! What? I know you ain't falling asleep on the job down there. What you trying to imply? That I'm boring? That I'm not all that unique? Okay, well since you feel that way, you can just get up off your tail's butt and get in here in Botanic Base. Oh, whoops. I goofed up. I meant to boot up the Encore palette. I'll be right back. Well, that's what I get for trying to throw some shaded tails. Oh my god. Burn, boys. Also, don't show my sister this video. She loves Tails to death, and she'll hate me if she sees me disrespecting him. But if you play Sonic 2, then your disrespect towards Tails could be somewhat justified, but she doesn't entirely understand that, because she's not quite big on gaming like I am, which is okay. But she does love Tails, don't get me wrong. Alrighty. These guys... Yo, this weekend has not been very kind to me, because, check it out. We were having a garage sale this weekend, and that involved a lot of going in outside and back inside now and then. That unfortunately had carried the risk of dealing with practical colonies of bugs, whether it be flies, gnats, you name it. I think I was up very late last night trying to kill them all so I could actually get some sleep, because Jesus freaking Christ. They were a handful. And while I'm at it, I should probably tell you all a little bit of a scary story. I believe it happened just 2 years ago when I was still living at my older hometown before I moved back down here to this one. But one vexing summer day, I happened to pull open a window curtain and discovered like 50 horseflies flocking around inside there. I kid you not, 50 horseflies, and none of them looked too friendly. And it really ticked me off and nobody ever thought to get rid of them. So I basically spent like my next hour and a half trying to take all of them out. And by the time I was done, needless to say, it was quite a mess. And I so happened to think of that little memory while I was engaging these badniks in Botanic Base, one of which resembles the bug badnik that you may recall from Hydro City. Made return that stage, and of course they carried it over to Botanic Base. Excuse my little slip up there. Seeing as Botanic Base does reuse assets from Hydro City. But for some reason, Botanic Bay was all the first stage to come to mind every time I devoted some thought towards Chaotix. It's not exactly one of my favorite stages, but when I decided to do a full playthrough of the original game rather than just the Mania mod, my opinion might or might not change. Also, another reason I'm showing off the stage in their Encore palettes, aside from the changes in color, is also to show off the bosses. They haven't changed how they worked in Mania, but they have been given some makeovers to, resemble how they looked in Chaotix. You've seen that earlier with Techno Tower, and then just a bit ago with Amazing Arena. And I believe the last time I played the Botanic Base, in, what was it, the very first showcase for what I want to say? Yeah, I think the first showcase. That one used the Hydro City Act 1 boss. This time, however, we're going to be getting the Metallic Madness Act 2 boss instead, which was part of the reason I decided to come back here. And of course, there is a reason I picked Tails, but we'll get to that later. Alright, so here it is, the boss I was just talking about. And oddly enough, when you play in Encore mode, you get what looks like a green or a grayish Amy doll instead of the traditional pink? Like, is that actually Amy, or is that meant to represent maybe Manic? Because Manic is a green hedgehog, and so is Scourge for that matter. You'd see Manic in Sonic Underground, and Scourge was probably exclusive to the comics, unless someone would like to correct me in that regard, because I didn't have the fortune of being able to read every single comic out there. The most I've read would be the first 9 issues of the IDW comics, which you may recall me mentioning a while back. Also, I'm not trying to turn too many of these wannabe Eggmen loose before I take them all out, so let me try and clean up my act. And yeah, but there's a boss soundtrack for Chaotix. As far as how high I would rate it, I honestly don't know. Like, it doesn't really instill the sense of fear into you when it comes to fighting Eggman boss, but luckily it isn't the only piece of boss music that you hear when it comes to Chaotix. I think there is a different one that you hear for the level 5 bosses, actually, and I think there may have been some miniature encounters that were seen in below the Kimbo with 5th level. Also, look at Tails' level clear animation. You all see that? Doesn't look entirely like it did in Mania, did it? I love the edits to it. I thought it gave Tails a lot more personality. As well as the fact they decided to fall asleep on me and get it below level select. Come on, Tails! Bruh! But, yeah, back to Encore mode. I believe I'll give Ray his time to shine in Speed Slider's Encore palette. And yo, look at this. I think it looks a bit more faithful to how it actually looked in Chaotix. As there is the typical shade of dark purple that you would see with these pillars. And, well, not much else to say, honestly. Well, except how the sky looks, but I feel like high enough in the stage, I'll be able to show that off. Putting it simply, it resembles an amusement park that's been corrupted for the worse. I think that much can be said for the entire park, where you, pick with the 5 levels in Chaotix, seeing as Eggman is hiding out there, and hatching his heinous plan involving Metal Sonic. I don't know what exactly drove him to rebuild Metal Sonic when it became clear that he wasn't going to cut it against the original in Sonic CD. But speaking of Metal Sonic, I suppose the events of Chaotix are indeed tied to that of Sonic CD, just like Sonic 4 Episodes 1 and 2. Although I don't imagine that some of you are pleased about the fact, but there you go. Still, if Chaotix is meant to take place after CD, I wonder if a fan game I just recently covered would not mind making some references to Chaotix when they fully update the project. And the fan game in question is Sonic 4 Reimagined Episode 1. I recently did a video to show that game off, and if y'all would like to check it out, it'll be most likely the upload that comes before this one. Alrighty, so let's speed our way through with Speed Sliders. Speed up! While I am here, let me just thank my community for being so enthusiastic in their support of my content, including those responsible for bringing us, Chaotix Mania. It's very, very clear the effort that went into a project like this, and this isn't the only project that they've been working on either, but I'm gonna stay tight-lipped about that up until they decide to reveal some more details themselves. Now, this isn't one exception to the rule in terms of the boss being redesigned to look as they did in Chaotix. All you just get here is the Firefly boss added scene in Stardust Speedway, because we haven't quite made to that point in Mania modding where we could change up the bosses. I wonder how long it took those that were modding the older Sonic games to learn how to change up the bosses, because I definitely recall them making it to that point in their journey as modders, but I don't quite know how long it took them exactly. Simply put though, the modding community has been around for quite some time, people. I would argue, like, say, 20 plus years, give or take. Because another reason why is the existence of Sonic Robo Blast 2, which also existed for like 20 years. Just like Sage, funnily enough, and has been continually getting updated over the years. Speaking of Robo Blast 2, I apologize for not updating that playthrough often, but I haven't forgotten about it, and I am going to continue working on it. Now though, let's go to Marina Madness' Encore palette. Y'all like the silver title card background used to introduce the Encore palette, by the way? Because I thought that was nice. And also what's really nice is this beautiful sunset from Marina Madness. One of the beautiful aspects of Chaotix was the change in environment, or perhaps not so much in the environment as much I should say the time of the day, the further you got into each of the levels. Like Botanic Bay started out as a daytime level and then it gradually progressed into a nighttime, and for Isolated Island, you get a daytime setting, then a sunset setting, and finally a nighttime setting, as you finish each of the 3 sections that made up that level. The only regret I have about Isolated Island here is that we didn't get to hear the amazing theme that usually represents that stage, and it's called Door into Summer. Instead, the theme they used was like the introductory music that led up to the introduction of Metal Sonic and Eggman when you first boot up Knuckles Chaotix. And then when you return to Isolated Island after the tutorial stage, you heard a different piece of music that was just relaxing and energizing all at once. Bit of a contradiction there, but it went on to be recognized one of the best pieces of classic Sonic music out there. Even though it came from a game that wasn't quite so polished in terms of gameplay, still some windows of opportunity to enjoy yourself, of course. Plenty of it, in fact. But you definitely had to change up your style of play if you were fully accustomed to the classic Sonic games. Definitely. So here we are, Marina Madness. Boing! I would tell you to quit horsing around, but you gotta see horses, so I don't think you can help yourself. Alright, cutting the showcase short, because I think y'all died from that terrible joke. Nah, I don't think so. I'm here to stay, people. You cannot silence me. You're stuck with me, so deal with it! Alright, we going for a slide, baby! Water slide, what's up? And it's a shame, really, because I can't swim, and yet I enjoy water parks. At least the parts of them where I'm not required to swim. Really sucks I had to be one of those people that struggle to deal with water, but it made me feel comfortable to know that Sonic shares in that struggle also. By the way, I spoke a little too soon, but the Speed Slider boss is not the only exception to the rule when it came to, not having a Chaos counterpart. This is another example, which is kind of a bummer, but what are you gonna do? I'm sure that when they finally give us the finished product for Chaotix Mania, they'll probably have something in the way of revamped boss battles. Hopefully revamped boss battles, or if not that, then at least revamped boss models. Oh, I'm really, really glad now that I went to the Super Metal Sonic boss fight, because I didn't know that the sprite would change up for Super Sonic in this game, but apparently they have been. And they do look quite interesting, to say the least. I'm actually really glad I went to this boss segment now, because I thought it was entirely unchanged. After all, this is a game that focuses on a game where Sonic didn't appear up until you got all the Chaos Rings and beat this guy. But the more you know, right? Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the credits real quick, so I'll be right back. And here you have it, guys. Once you've beaten the demo, you get a nice farewell segment from Super Metal Sonic with the city burning in the background. You actually see that exact same environment if you get the bad ending in Chaotix, but you didn't get all the Chaos Rings, and then you beat the final boss. And because it had a save system, if you saved your game after beating all the levels but not getting all the Chaos Rings, you were locked into this bad ending in a never-ending cycle. But if you got the good ending, the world was safe from Metal Sonic's wrath. And with that, I believe that's everything I've got to show off for the Stage 2020 demo. Well, mostly everything, because I showed off the Encore mode palette for every stage except for Techno Tower, but seeing as I've already played through the stage in entirety, I'm only going to give you all a brief look at its Encore palette, and then leave it at that. So, here we go. You get treated to this nice sunset vibe with Techno Tower, and you take this drop all the way to the very bottom, where the first platform awaits us. And yo, look at this background, boy! I wonder what that is exactly. Is that like the city surrounding the hub world for Chaotix? I'm pretty sure it is. Either way, it looks really nice. I think this palette looks a lot better for Techno Tower than its original one does. Not that it looks terrible in any way, just a matter of preference. But yeah, that's it for Encore Techno Tower. I'll let y'all play through it for yourself once the demo comes out. And on that note, I believe that's everything to show off in this sort of humongous showcase. I hope y'all have enjoyed Chaotix Mania. At this stage in the game, it's definitely got a lot of bang for its buck. So, I highly recommend to everybody that's been watching this video. And I also thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, likes and comments are always appreciated, so make sure to leave those. And to keep up with my content, hit that sub button and ring that bell so that you don't miss out on anything from me. And also, look out for an enormous amount of showcases featuring the Sonic community's creations once stage rolls around. And I'll do likewise the Sonic hacking contest, of course. All of you just have so many amazing things to show off, but it'd be a shame not to give them all a spotlight, you know? So I am just doing my job. Anyway, thanks again to the team that brought us Chaotix Mania, and I will see you all next time. Until then, peace out, Blue Blurs for life.